In this video, let's look into VS Code extension for Microsoft Foundry. So basically, this is a VS Code extension to leverage the functionality of Microsoft Foundry. With this extension, you will be able to deploy large language models from Microsoft, OpenAI, Meta, DeepSeek, and other organizations. You can develop an AI application. You can develop with agents so that agents can assist you in building the code. You can test the deployed models in playground, so you get a variety of option to compare the models, test the deployed models with different form factors, get sample code from deployed model. So there is an option for from which you can extract the sample code from the deployed model and view the code behind. Create, deploy, and then test agent with Azure AI Service as well. Now, what are the capabilities? So basically, first the concept is to create a project. You open the project, and then you select the model from a model catalog. So you have an option to manage the model catalog. So you can choose from variety of models, and from that model, once you pick up a specific model, you can test the model in the model playground. You have an option to fine tune the model, and finally you can go ahead and deploy the model. There are other playgrounds like remote agent playground, local agent playground for your uh, locally built agents or for declarative agents as well. Now there are a couple of other features like the local visualizer. So once the model is deployed, if you want to test the model, then you can actually see the behavior of the model. You can deploy the hosted agents as well. Now, just going back to the screen, here you get an option in the VS Code extension. So you've got model catalog, model playground, remote agent playground, local agent playground, local visualizer, and deploy hosted agents. Deploying the model, so you get a variety of model to choose from Cloud, OpenAI, Microsoft, AI 21, and many more. You get an option to directly deploy to Microsoft Foundry or directly add from GitHub. So you can discover, test, and deploy AI models, including custom Olama models, right in VS Code. Here, this is a screenshot of a playground. So in the playground, you can actually test the model directly. You can specify some configuration parameter such as max response token, temperature, top P, provide a system prompt, and browse variety of models. And you even have an option to compare different models. You can view the code just by clicking on the view code button. Then remote agent playground, you have an option to choose the agent type, whether it's a declarative or a hosted agent. And from there, you will be able to again provide those information like the name, model, instructions, tools, etc. Then we have a agent playground, which is a local agent playground. So you can specify your local host, and then from there you can go ahead and deploy the agent as well. You can see the tracing an agent once the agent is deployed. So that's basic introduction about this extension. Now let me go into m365.cloud.microsoft. Now here I have already built some agents. So as you see over here, if I go to all agents, these are some of the agents either I have created using Copilot Studio and published over here, or I have just created the agent from just by clicking on new agent. So there's a pickleball agent, there's a soccer agent, there's a climate agent, Oz politics, etc. So this is Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, if I go into the extension, no, before you go into the extension, you need to type in VS Code. So open the VS Code application. Now this application is opened in my different screen. So let me bring this over here. Okay. So in VS Code, you need to first select the folder and then you can start exploring the extension. Now, before you even go to the extension, navigate to the extension and just type in Microsoft Foundry. Now I have already installed the extension, but I'm showing you how you can install the extension. So you click on Microsoft Foundry and then here you will get an option to install. you can read through the documentation where they have given all the information about what is the capability of this particular extension. Navigate to the features. From here, you can actually configure various runtime status, activation events, commands, settings, view container. So that's a nice bit of documentation provided by Microsoft. And then if you want to know the change log and release notes and all the dependencies, you will be able to find that from here. Now this has got a dependency with Azure Resources AI Toolkit for VS Code. Okay, coming back to the extension over here, I have already installed this extension, so that's why I can see this Microsoft Foundry. Now, before I go there, I have already installed an Azure extension, and as you see over here, I have a lot of accounts. So if I click on Manage, I get to see various options like Profile Settings Extension. But if I click on Accounts over here, I have connected my Microsoft 365 tenant or Azure tenant over here. Now, if I navigate to Microsoft Foundry, here it will start loading the information. Now, initially, when you load, you may not find this information. I have already connected this to Microsoft Foundry in Azure, and that's why I'm able to get these information. If you don't get this information, that means you need to log in to your Azure portal. So there are three different options. So if you see, there's a resource, there's a tools, help, and feedback. So you can turn on and off if you do not want any of this feature to be shown. Okay, so you need to at least show one. Now, resources, tools, and help and feedback. Help and feedback, documentation, GitHub. So it will take you to the web browser, and then you will be able to see the documentation, GitHub, privacy statement, and there's a Discord community as well. So there's tools and resources. So resources, I'm going to cover this in a separate video because this is all connected to Microsoft Foundry. So let me show you that over here. So in Microsoft Foundry, now this is Microsoft Foundry ai.azure.com. So here you have an option to connect to your specific organization. So I've already connected to this organization, and I have already created one agent. Now there is a concept of project. You can create a new project, you can view all the project, you can view all the resources. Now here you can start creating an agent or browsing the model or designing the workflow. So if I click on create agent, then it will ask you to provide the name, and then you can create an agent. Or if you want to, once you are within an agent interface, you can perform various other operations. Now this is about Microsoft Foundry, and that's why, like, you can see this AI A1 agent. If I click on view all resources, it will load all the resources. Now these are the different resources like North Sydney, Parramatta, Sydney Hub, and all those kind of resources within my directory. Now if I go into the extensions, now here in the extension, as you see, North Sydney. Now within that particular project, I have different models. So I have different models. I have declarative agents. Now, declarative agents is coming from M365 Copilot. Remember, I showed you Pickleball agent and other agents. Agent 912 is the one which I created. So these are the declarative agents. So you can even configure the declarative agent. So let me show you that M365 Copilot. So remember, this is the Pickleball agent in M365 Cloud.Microsoft. So this is the agent which had the settings. So if you go into the settings, you will see general, you see agent, you can connect with an external access over here. Now if you want to configure further things, you can go ahead and configure this particular agent in M365 Copilot, but you get a very limited option over here. Now if you go into the extension here, if I click on this particular agent, let me close this tab. Here you get an ID, here you get the name, here you get the model, which model is being used, and this agent will only talk about pickleball. Then you have an option to see the tools, the set the temperature, top P, and view all this information. Now you can edit the agent, so I'll go ahead and edit the agent, and here you will get all the code for this particular agent. Now you can type in the instruction, you can change the model, you can add multiple tools, files, grounding with ping search, code interpreter, MCP servers, etc. Change the temperature, top P, and you can even view the YAML code of this particular agent as well. So let me close this. Now, This is in an edit mode. Now you click on update agent and then this will be updated. So that's about updating an agent in this VS Code extension. You have an option to create a declarative agent. So I'll click on new and I'll create a new declarative agent. So you don't get an option to type in the ID. You just specify that this is a declarative agent Girish. I'll pick up any models which are available. So I have got a couple of models, GPT-4o and GPT-4o Sydney. Why this is coming is because I have already created that within Azure AI Foundry. So in Azure AI Foundry, I have already uh, configured that model. Now, if you want to navigate further, you can go to portal.azure.com, create that resources, and you can create any other model. And then you can go ahead and add a tool over here. And then that's how you can build that declarative agent. Now, there is a concept of hosted agents. Now, before I go into the hosted agents, let me go into the project over here. Now, here, if you click on plus, you can create a project. Now, if I click on plus, I can go ahead and create a project. So it will start loading the information, and you have an option to type in the project. You specify the resource group. So it is asking you to pick up the resource group from Azure, and then it will list down all the resource group that has been connected with your Azure subscription. You specify the resource group. Now these are the different resource group I have. I can pick up any other resource group. I can type in the project name. I'll call this as project proceed, and then it will start validating. If it is all valid, it will start creating that particular project. So this is like an example through which, through VS Code extension, you can create the project in Microsoft Foundry. Now, there are other options as you see over here. So here I've just named it as Project Prissy. It will start creating a project, and then here you will find one more project listed. Now, within a project, there's a model. You can add a new model. So if I click on plus, then I have an option to pick up multiple models. So let me close all this thing. Say don't save, close it. And here you have an option like popular models, Claude Opus, OpenAI, 5.4. Then you can search the different models. So if you want to search specifically OpenAI, you can just search for OpenAI, or you can search by hosted by, you can search by publisher. So these are the host providers. So GitHub, Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, Foundry. Let's see which model has been available from Google. I think the project is being created over here, and that's why it is taking a bit longer. Now, as you see over here, this project is created. We can deploy a new model. So I'm not going to do that. I'll just close it at the moment. So on the left-hand side, you'll see this. The context is now switched to Project Prissy. Now, you have an option to select the publisher. So these are the different publisher, what feature you want, whether it's a web search, structured output, image attachment, text, audio, video. So you can select from there, and then you can even check which model has got that fine tuning capability. Now you can add your own model. You can bring your own model, and you specify enter OpenAI compatible chat completion endpoint URL. So if you have that endpoint URL, you can bring your own model as well. Then if you click on three dots, you can view the GitHub. You can navigate to Foundry local as well. And on the left hand side, like hosted agents. Now remember, I told you about hosted agents. So we have seen the declarative agent. We have So let's go ahead and click on new hosted agent. Now if I click on new hosted agent, I have an option to select the programming language. So let me pick up C# for the moment and specify which folder I want to store into. So let me go into, say, maybe let's store it over here. So I'll just select this and I'll name as C# agent 1, and then it will start loading in a different window, and it will give you that code as well. So this will give you a boilerplate code. Yes, I trust the author. And then you'll see app settings.json, C# agent1.cs proj. On the right hand side, as you see, you can even build with agent. So you can describe what exactly you want to build, and then there are different modes over here. So you have an agent, you have a plan, ask, and edit. AI agent expert, and then in the auto you can select Haiku 4.1 GPT 405 mini Raptor, etc. Then there are configuration tools which you can select from here, and then you can start typing in whatever information you want. Now if I go into program.cs, I'll be able to see the entire code behind for that agent. So that includes async task, configure observability, then the method for configure observability, run container mode, etc. So this is like a placeholder. Then we have a readme.md file, which will exactly tell you how to perform those installation. Then we have workflow code.cs. So this is like a scaffolding from a C sharp agent perspective. Now this is not only limited to C sharp. If I click on new hosted agent, and now this time if I click on Python, I'll select the default folder and call it as Python Girish agent, and then it will start provisioning the Python interface. And as you see over here, container.py, interactive.py, readme.md. So container.py, it will give you that Python code, and then there are some configuration information which you need to configure, like the Azure AI project endpoint, Azure AI model deployment name, and then this model will be ready for you to test. Alternatively, you have an option over here to build with agent as well. There's a workflow core, so similar structure, workflow core, interactive container, like how we have in .NET. This is the similar structure. Okay, so that's about the resources. Now we have assets, we have connections, vector store. So like that, you can create multiple connections, multiple vector stores and thread. Now, from a tool perspective, here we have model catalog. This we have already seen. So there are different models which you can view. So you can view more details about the model. So Microsoft Foundry, so view model details. So it will load the model card for model Cloud Opus 4.5, and then it will open an external site, and then you can view the information. Now I'm not going to go and do that. You have an option to deploy to Foundry directly. You can add from GitHub, you can deploy to Foundry, or download from Foundry local as well. So 5.4 model you can download from Foundry local. Then we have model playground, so different models you can compare. So as you see over here, if click on model playground, it will start loading the different models that are available. Now from that, I have an option to pick up models. I can view the model detail, I can view the configuration information. I have an option to compare the model as well, so I can exactly see which model behaves well for my specific scenario. So in this particular project, I don't have any deployed model. Now, if you go into the resources over here, so like let me go ahead and collapse all. Yeah. So this is the new model which I have. This is the new project which I have created. Within this, I need to add a model, and once I add a model, then I'll be able to play around with different model. Now we have a remote agent playground, so we can choose the agent type. Let me pick up a declarative agent. And I think for this particular project I will not be able to create that because the ID requires the data action. So let me cancel this off. Then I have this local agent playground. I can select the local playground endpoint, local visualizer. So here I can actually see the traces, the events basically, for that specific agent. Now this will come only after the code execution, so you need to run your agent framework code, and then after that we'll be able to see the agents. Now here we can deploy the hosted agent, so you can select the folder path where the agent is stored, and then you can deploy the hosted agent. So that's it, folks. This is all about different options that are available within the Microsoft Foundry VS Code extensions. Thanks for watching.